As we continue to celebrate Women's Month on Morning Live, we're seeing more and more women in tech spaces, but the industry is still quite male-dominated. How do women make their voices heard in this industry? Well, our next guest says her journey wasn't easy, but with perseverance, she's now heading up a multinational deskless workforce for Wyzetalk, which connects large organizations with their dispersed frontline employees in order to improve communication and business performance. Sinazo Sibisi, who is Wyzetalk's Managing Director of Africa, Canada and Australia, joins us now. It is so good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Tell us a little bit more about this ability to persevere in what is very much still a male-dominated technology space.
I think women in general have to build a lot of resilience in order to be heard, in order to be seen. It means that you have to work harder than everybody else for half the recognition. It means that you always have to be on top of your game and just understand that if you keep working hard, if you keep pushing, if you are confident about what you're doing and show that you actually have the expertise, somebody will notice. Somebody will pick you up and say, actually, this person has talent. They can add a lot of value to our business. And that's basically how you do it, just being really on top of your game every second, every day.
Yeah. I mean, do you find that as a woman you have to work even harder than, let's say, our male counterparts?
Absolutely. I think they always say that there are assumptions about competence. And if you're a man, particularly if you're a white man, there's an assumption that you're competent. Whereas if you're a woman or if you're black, and if you happen to be a black woman, then there's an automatic assumption that somehow you're not quite ready, you're not quite competent, you need to prove yourself first before people give you opportunities. So when you go into an environment with those assumptions, and they're across the world, by the way, not just in South Africa, then you have to realize that you are in some ways starting at the back of the pack, not at the front of the pack. And I'm sure you've also experienced that yourself in your own industry, that you really have to work hard to make sure that people take you seriously and know that you can add value to the business.
You know, it's quite an incredible thing that I feel like every single year we have these conversations about women and working extra hard and trying to get voices heard and to be recognized for things that, you know, we can do. And yet there's still trying to gain the faith of others to realize that we can do the job just as well. Are we winning? Are we winning the battle? The numbers say we're not winning, but perhaps maybe there's more of a reality on the ground?
I think things are changing slowly. Certainly in Wyzetalk, we work very hard to make sure that we pull a lot of women into the organization. I think because we have a mix of the development side and also the kind of professional services side, that enables us to make progress faster, because there are naturally a lot of women involved in internal communications as a sector. But you also have to put a lot of effort into actually building the pipeline. If you look at the financial services sector, for example, for years, you know, big four accounting firms have been putting effort into schools, encouraging people to go into mathematics, accounting, STEM. And we need to do the same in the tech industry. We need to start at that level and, you know, do extra courses to make sure that you have the people choosing this as a career, and then supporting them through university, doing internships, hiring them, developing them in the organization, and knowing that some of them will leave your organization and go work elsewhere, but that's a contribution that you're making to the country as a whole. And we have to get better at it, but I think slowly we're seeing some progress.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned this, that there are a limited number of women, but even more so black women heading up tech companies. As I mentioned in the introduction, you're Wyzetalk's Managing Director of not only Africa, but Canada and Australia. How did this journey come about? And may I ask what the initial reaction was when they saw that you were put into this executive position? Was it quite positive, or was there sort of like, oh, here we go, what are we going to do now?
to say the reaction has been very positive, which has been very heartwarming. And clearly, also, I think it's very important to have support of people within the business. No one succeeds alone. And clearly, I have a very strong support from the group CEO heading up the business. And he also did a lot of work in kind of talking up my CV, so to speak. So I didn't have to do all the heavy lifting in this instance. But also, I think just in terms of when people engage you and encounter you and understand that actually you're somebody who is very capable. I think that kind of changes mindsets very quickly. It certainly has in my experience. So yeah, the reaction has been very positive. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey to get here. I've worked in a number of sectors, not just in tech, in the financial services sector, in consulting. I spent some time in government as well.
Yeah.
So I think that has also allowed me to develop a very rounded understanding of organizational leadership and business leadership. And I think I bring all those different experiences to bear in this role.
Which is wonderful. I mean, I know that you even spent time at the Development Bank of Southern Africa, and I mean that is a massive position for you to hold. And I mean, it allows young girls to look up and say, "Hang on, whoa, I can do this. I found a role model in all of this." And it may sound cliche, but in a world where it's very, very hard to come across role models such as yourself in these major positions, it is important to shine and to actually shine a light on this.
No, absolutely. I mean, representation is very key. When little girls can kind of look up and see women in leadership positions in very male-dominated sectors and organizations, it makes a big difference in what's possible. And it kind of broadens their view of what they can dream about and achieve themselves. And I think it's really important that we kind of play a leading role in not kind of just being there to represent ourselves as individuals, but being there to represent possibility. And as I said at the beginning, that means that you also have to open the door for other people to come in. It's not good enough as a woman just be content to be there yourself. And I think as women, we need to do a lot more work in supporting other women. And that is something that we're very passionate about at Wyzetalk and something we'd like to encourage in the sector as a whole.
Just finally, I mean, you look at Wyzetalk and it's an absolutely phenomenal company. I mean, just started in South Africa. You've got about 650,000 people using the platform. It's in many countries around the world, which is, again, something we need to be very, very proud of. You're in a space now, we find ourselves in this pandemic where everything has moved online. I can imagine that your business has shifted and grown over this time. Have you found that it's been even more so challenging, or has this actually been what you've been preaching? People are now doing and practicing what you've been trying to preach.
No, absolutely. I think people are now beginning to realize the importance of employee engagement. And also the importance of being connected to all their employees, particularly hard to reach frontline workers. The situation that we find ourselves in has meant that I think all over the world, there's a growing appreciation of the role of frontline workers. We've seen it again and again in COVID-19, how they've actually been at the fore of assisting in dealing with the pandemic. There's also an appreciation now that people have not always been easy to reach in the workplace, that we need to be able to communicate with everybody quickly and effectively, and hence digital has come to the fore very much, and particularly mobile, and being able to connect with someone right in their hands within seconds. And this has been critical in terms of driving connectivity, driving engagement, employers showing their employees that they care, but it's also been important in kind of digitizing critical business processes. So we've been helping a number of clients with COVID screening processes, for example. We've been helping a number of our clients in terms of communicating information about not just the pandemic, but how people can help keep themselves safe. We've also been assisting a number of our clients in terms of just kind of making life easier for frontline workers, from digitizing access to their payslip, record of service, all the information they may need if they need to go and apply for UIF if they've been temporarily laid off, or get some other kind of financial support. So just creating a system whereby employees feel that they really belong, that they're really cared about, and the employers coming to the fore to say compassion is a critical part of running an effective and efficient business. And we're here to show compassion to our employees and support our employees.
Amazing chatting to you, Sinazo Sibisi. Thank you so very, very much for your time. Wyzetalk's Managing Director of Africa, Canada and Australia, talking to us about how women can make their voices heard in the technology space, and was also finding new heroes to look up to for us women out there. Thank you again and well done.
Thank you for having me.
All right.